name's Denise Leonard and I'm a lecturer at the University of Wales Trinity St David.
My name is Lucy Davis and I'm an adventure filmmaker and outdoor instructor as well.
So my name is Lloyd. I'm an outdoor activity development officer for a charity called the Outdoor Partnership, and I cover the West Wales region.
I think it's a hard kind of sector to be a woman in sometimes. I was definitely the minority in pretty much every workplace that I've been in. As a minority, you kind of get that sense of perhaps not quite belonging or feeling a little bit of an imposter in a male environment.
When I first started out in this industry, I think my confidence, and it still is a massive issue for me, like the stuff I do, like hanging off cliffs with my camera, up in trees with my camera, like in the sea, like there is fatal outcomes potentially. So you've got to have confidence in yourself. And I think it took me a lot longer than perhaps my male counterparts doing the same thing. And, you know, a lot of the time, the men I work with are just so lovely and accommodating, but it's sometimes just the few that can ruin it for the many. Like we get lots of stag do's, and some of them are like, oh, ask her out, mate, or like, you know, invite me along to their drinking in the evening. It seems a lot of the time that these stag groups, most of the time they're lovely. You get the old group that just don't take me as seriously as they do to like my male colleague, and I feel like I have to raise my voice 4 times as loud to be heard sometimes, and then they look at me like I'm shouting at them, and I don't want to shout at anyone. I'm not shouting at them. I'm just like, you're ignoring me, and I need to say some safety advice, you know?
I do think that I was really lucky because I was in a bit of a bubble of people that I used to go hiking with, or swimming in the sea, or kayaking, and all those people were awesome, like the men and women. But then I think when I started working in this job and maybe going a little bit further afield, that's when I started realising that it was there, which I was really lucky for a long time that I had this little bubble of people that I didn't have it in. And then when I started going further, I was like, oh yeah, it's definitely here as well.
Certainly in an adventure tourism sector, that was where I felt that most acutely, probably working as a raft guide. I would have sometimes my clients look at me with almost a sense of disappointment that they got me as their guide rather than perhaps the male counterparts. Of course, that's something that was my perception, but I think that I'm probably fairly accurate, and something I've definitely heard from other female raft guides. They've had a similar experience where clients might feel they're getting a lower level of adventure with a female guide than they would with a male one.
I have guys come up to me, assuming I don't know basic knots, and I've been doing this for like 4 or 5 years now. I've had people in the past that just assume that I need their help. You know, if you've got someone that's always interfering and it's like, let me show you, let me do it for you, how are you going to learn yourself? It's just the tone that they do it in, and it's like, oh, you know, you don't know what you're doing, do you? You need my help. And I'm like, you know, I do know what I'm doing, but it's every time something like that happens, you think, maybe I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I shouldn't be here. Maybe I should just leave it for someone else to do.
There's obviously things that you have to negotiate as a woman that perhaps is easier for a male. For example, if you're on expedition, going to the toilet as a woman, or menstruation, or those sorts of things are things that you have to somehow navigate without making others feel uncomfortable or, you know, drawing attention to it particularly. It's not the easiest to manage when it's just you.
I think another struggle of getting into this industry is like underrepresentation. I mean, we're in a digital world now. We've all had social media for years. When I first started uni and I started sort of getting more of a adventure filmmaking like algorithm and like looking into that stuff more, you know, this many were men, and then, you know, I saw that many women, and it's like, it's hard to get into something when you don't necessarily see yourself represented in it. Especially as like filming with a camera off the side of a cliff, that's quite like a niche thing to do, I guess. And when you don't see anyone that kind of represents you in some way doing it, you just think it's maybe unattainable for yourself.
Personally, rowing across the Atlantic, a couple of months ago we completed a transatlantic row in 50 days. It was fantastic. So there's less than 500 women have ever rowed any ocean, and as a crew of 4 women, we managed that not just as a team of women, but as a team of generally kind of middle-aged, I guess, ordinary women, not from any sort of extreme endurance backgrounds or anything like that, just decided that why shouldn't it be us, and took on that challenge, and took us 4 years to get there, but we got there.
Women in the outdoors think that maybe need to like pretend that they're, not pretend, because of course some of them are, but be stronger than other guys or girls, or be more confident, they're happy to jump off something or abseil off something. But I think that there are so many women, amazing women that I can think of now in my head that love the outdoors, they're so passionate, but they also love wearing makeup. Your appearance doesn't always have to match up to like your qualifications. I've tried my best to not worry too much about what people think, because I know, and the people close to me, which is all that matters really, know that I'm qualified to do what I'm doing, and I'm like highly skilled in the field that I'm talking about at that time.
Now found like really amazing like female role models online that are just setting the bar for filmmaking, and like in just these crazy locations, and it's really nice to see. You know, you see someone that represents you doing something you want to, you know, achieve sometime in your life, and then it makes you feel like it's more achievable.
I mean, in terms of the gender gap, I'd say it's improved. Absolutely. It's improved at a base level, but it's also improved at a higher level as well in terms of balance. Looking purely at numbers, but also in terms of media and how much recognition women in adventure now receive. There's a balance, I think, at entry level, the women in the adventure sector. There's probably a fairly equal balance between men and women going into that, but it's the longevity that women struggle to maintain a career in the outdoors. And there's a lot of complex reasons around that. It's not quite as simplistic as male and female, but it is something that is a byproduct of the way that the sector operates. There is definitely a gendered approach to the outdoors that I think makes it harder for women to stay in that sector.
I've been in the outdoor industry. I started assisting when I was like 19, so that's like, God, like nearly 5 years now. And I think I've seen more women come into it, which is really nice. I do feel like women just have this camaraderie in these spaces where we just like look out for each other. It's sometimes hard when it's a group of like 9, 10 confident, rowdy guys and you're the only girl, and it's hard to speak up in a group like that sometimes. So seeing other girls and women join in, I've definitely seen more, which is really nice. Like, it's not about having more women than men, it's just about having an equal amount, you know? Oh my God, I don't think anyone's ever asked me for advice before. Maybe it's just like joining a group, like online. There's so many groups. Like in Gower, we have a Gower Women's Surf Society now, which I know has allowed a lot of women who are too nervous to go by themselves to join a group of people and then to learn to do it. Or like, you know, Blue Tits at the swimming club, like go join something like that because people are so welcoming.
I think just see your space in that place as valid. It's still predominantly a male space, but it's not about strength and brawn. It's about mindset, it's about psychology, it's about emotional intelligence. It's about so much more than being seemingly fearless or technically high-end skills. There's a lot of space in the sector for those that are competent but don't want to necessarily summit 8,000 metre peaks or, you know, row across oceans.
It sounds really basic, but just be yourself. Because ultimately, I've realised more and more now that I actually work with people that I think are being really authentic and like honest and true to themselves. So they might be really amazing at working with children or women or people with disabilities. People I work with, partner with on my projects, when I think about what kind of people they are, is that they do have that base of qualifications, but they have such a personality attached to that as well.
I do outdoor instructing, and I was taking a group gorge walking, and they must have been like 10 years old, these group of scouts, and this little girl came up to me once, and she was like, "This is the coolest thing ever." She was like, "Do you think I could do this for a living?" And I was like, "Of course you can." And she was like, "How did you get into it?" And I was like, "Just love the outdoors and like, just pursue it." I was like, you're really good at this. You're taken to it so naturally. And she's like, "I think I want to do what you want to do when I'm older." And I was like, "Don't look at me, I'm crying, you know."
I think it's bigger than just a gender role conversation, because there's so many subtle messages to women that it's not their space. There needs to be an entire cultural shift to show women that they belong there, and I don't know, that's not a quick fix. That's got to happen gradually. You need to see people doing what you want to do to feel that that's a space where you belong, and there's just not enough women making decisions, sitting at the top end, visible through media. Still, I mean, there is a lot more, but there needs to be, and that is not a man problem, that's an everyone problem. And women need to put themselves front and centre for the benefit of others, so that people can say, yeah, actually, you know, she did it, she's there, she's a highly qualified mountain guide or sea kayak instructor or whatever it is. I can be that too.
Her story is adventure.
Her story is adventure.
Her stories is adventure.
Her story is adventure.
Her story is adventure.
Her story is adventure. Her story is adventure.